Hello everyone! We continue to learn Testo-lang, and today we have two subjects to discuss: the type action and plug-unplug DVD action. So let's go. We already know how to press keyboard buttons in Testo-lang with the press action. This action is designed to emulate a pressing of single keys or keys combinations. But it's certainly not designed for typing text. This task is reserved for the type action. In the last guide, we started to automate the Ubuntu server installation procedure. If we continued to automate this procedure, then at some point we'd be asked to enter the host name. What could we do if we weren't okay with the default hostname value? Well, first we would need to erase the default value. This could easily be done by pressing backspace 6 times. This is the job for the press action. But press action is not well suited for entering the new value, so instead let's do it with the type action. If you want your hostname to be Testo, then just write down type Testo, and all the necessary keys will be selected and pressed automatically. Okay, moving on. Let's assume that you're not okay with the text being typed so quickly. Sometimes it can be an actual problem. For instance, imagine a GUI which can't keep up with the too intense input stream. You can slow the input down with the interval specifier. Just like in the press action, the interval defines the delay between the keys pressings. The default interval is 30 milliseconds, but let's check what would happen if we increased it up to 1 second. Well, obviously, the text is being typed much slower, just as we intended. So that's all about the type action. Moving on. At some point of the installation procedure, you'll be asked to remove the installation media, which means basically eject CD-ROM, and then reboot the computer. In Testo framework, you can control not only the keyboard, mouse and power, but various devices as well, and the CD-ROM is not an exception. There are two actions associated with the CD-ROM in Testo-lang: plug DVD and unplug DVD. We'll take a look at them in a new separate test. When the virtual machine is created, the image from the ISO attribute is automatically mounted into its virtual CD-ROM. You can easily see that by opening the machine's settings right after it's been created and started. To unmount the ISO image, you need to apply the unplug DVD action. This action takes no arguments. It simply unmounts any already mounted CD-ROM image. Let's run the test and open the machine's settings afterwards. We can see that the virtual CD-ROM is indeed empty. There is also a counter action, plug DVD. And yes, you've guessed it, this action mounts an ISO image into the empty CD-ROM. Let's remove the ISO attribute from the machine declaration and start the virtual machine. We can clearly see that the CD-ROM is empty. But of course, you can mount the ISO image in the test itself. Just write down plug DVD and then pass the path to the image as the argument. Now the image is mounted, although the Ubuntu installation hasn't started. That's because we plugged the ISO image after we started the machine. To get things back on track, we need to switch the actions places. And so, that's all you need to know about the type and plug-unplug DVD actions in Testo-lang. We have now all the things we need to automate the whole Ubuntu server installation procedure. You may try to do it by yourself and complete the text script so it automates the whole thing. As for me, I thank you for your time and I'll see you in the next video.